Howdy, y'all. Ugh. Come on, fluffy butt. There you go. Okay, I don't know what happened to my feed. It froze. I don't think it's cold enough to freeze. But somehow my feed froze. Completely froze. I looked down to stand up on this pipe a little bit. And poof. My feed was dead set frozen. That's kind of disturbing. I wonder if I'm censored. I don't know. My feed froze, dead set froze, just quit. I didn't even know it happened until I glanced up and not only was I frozen solid, I was frozen with my mouth open like, at least they can wait until I close my damn mouth so I don't look like I'm having like palsy or something. So Shade, you've got a leather project going. Are you putting some of it on film, what you're doing, or are you just working on it and you already know the results? We do have a lot of leather here in Texas. Did my face really get stuck that way? Oh. Hey, I understand. Do remember, just because we are a pipe community doesn't mean that we don't share others' interests. I know that Steph and I both crochet. I've shared some knitting that I've done. Of course, I'm brave enough to not care what people think about me. Oh, let's see. This is the hardest part, is I gotta keep wiping the pipe because I'm sanding so fine. And if I'm going to sand it this fine, it almost acts like I'm restaining it just with the little bit of material that's coming back up. So it keeps me from being able to see what I'm doing, which has me worried that I've gone too far, even though I haven't. But I definitely don't want to go so far as to take all the black off of here. And I will tell you, I am not certain that a random orbital pattern is the exact way to do this. Most of the guys who do this have belt sanders and they just kind of do what they're doing. I don't have a belt sander. Salt and alcohol, it does work. Just remember that you're going to have to take a little bit of time to rest the pipe after you've finished the treatment and gotten everything out of it. The reason I suggest you rest the pipe, and I mean a good long rest, you want that alcohol to get out of the fibers of the wood before you put fire back in there, because it can do two things. If you have a hidden sand pit or something and it goes into that sand pit, it could boil and cause a burnout in that situation, or it could cause the wood to actually catch on fire afterwards. Now, remember, alcohol burns off at 100 degrees. You can speed up the resting process by just putting a really strong light bulb basically pointed straight into the bowl. But I wouldn't suggest any of that. Just a regular air drying time will actually do you a little bit of a better good. Now, if you just absolutely can't wait to smoke it, I mean, you know, that's your choice. But I am letting you know that there might be hidden dangers to lighten it up almost immediately after you're done. I always, when I do it, I give mine a week. But yeah, 5 days should be plenty. But I mean, 2 or 3 days should be enough. But a lot of people, they go for that that day after, or the just as soon as they finish up, and that's the wrong thing to do when you're doing an alcohol cleaning on any kind of a wood substance, because you want that alcohol to have enough time to seep back out of the wood and evaporate. And it doesn't take but a very small sand pit, believe me on this one, because I found one on a pipe that I really, really wish I still had. But it burned out like right there. Just a pinhole. But it made it completely unsmokable. You wouldn't even be able to see the hole. That was the crazy part. It was just like a little crack in the briar that nobody had found it while shaping. Nobody found it while drilling the bowl. It wasn't even visible. And then, pop, burned out. Just a real thin little hole. But yeah, went from a great smoking pipe to completely unsmokable in 3 seconds. And yeah, problem is it was a carb hole that got extremely hot really fast, so you couldn't just tap your finger over it and kind of hold it down. Oh no. You ended up pulling way too much air, and hardly any smoke would come through. Kind of made me sad. Quite honestly, if you're taking from an arrow and you're going to non-arrows, I would definitely suggest Haunted Bookshop. Anything strong and burly, you're going to have a clean or really close to clean bowl in 2-3 smokes tops. If you can handle the 2 or 3 smokes that are going to be a little bit sideways of Haunted Bookshop, then no problem. I actually keep Haunted Bookshop around just for when I'm doing my reviews, because I always do a review of any tobacco blend in 4 different bowls. Well, I use the same 4 bowls. So if I've done an arrow or something with deer tongue or something else that just for whatever ghosts something, I load it up with Haunted Bookshop, and then I can go right into whatever else is next, and it doesn't feel or taste ghosted at all. I've been told I'm pretty good at figuring out what tastes are, so I should be able to tell when something's ghosted. But that's just me. I mean, maybe you have a higher taste bud count, for lack of better explanation. Maybe you can taste better than I can. I don't know. Yeah. See, that's the wonderful thing about arrows, is most arrows are not so strong that they will stay ghosting on something forever. And I'm not saying that they won't ghost something. I'm saying that they don't tend to stay ghosted with an arrow. If you're going to smoke something like I said, like Haunted Bookshop, normally it tends to be the burlier blends. Whichever has the most burley tends to win. Because you get that almost cigarette taste that goes in there, which can again be covered up almost immediately by anything with Latakia or Perique. Just remember, Perique is actually a processed burley of a specific plant that only grows at our next door neighbors, being that there's only Texas here. Yes, I've got 2 people from Texas in chat. What am I supposed to say? Oh yeah. Big and burly will knock you on your hindquarters if you ain't watching out for yourself. So I'm starting to see the grain pattern here on the front side. Still got quite a bit more to do. I'm not going much lighter than that though. I got a little bit more in here. The bottom part is about right except for right here, but if I wipe that off a little bit, it's pretty close. So I'm just saying, this is actually moving along quite well. Again, I'm not trying to take all the black off. I am just trying to get enough down that the... Howdy, Boris. You missed it. I left. I had to come back. I guess it was so cold where you were that it froze my screen. Completely froze me. I don't know what happened. I'm not blaming you. But just as soon as you left, and no, I'm not blaming anybody. Just a little chilly out today here in Houston. No, actually, no playoff games are going to be seen at my particular house. I'm pretty certain that I missed out on any college bowl games, and that's fine. I'm also pretty certain that I am not going to be watching football for the rest of this season. If the Chiefs and the Cheeseheads make it into the Super Bowl, I'll watch the game. That one game. No big deal, just statement of fact there. Now, it's not because I don't like football. You know I do. It's actually because unless the Raiders are playing in the playoffs, I normally just don't give a damn. Which means for a while now I haven't just really given much of a crap. Figure I might knit a hat or something. Yes, I did say I would knit a hat. I'm not worried about your opinions of me knitting. In fact, I started knitting because I shattered a kneecap and I needed something to do other than watching daytime television. And when you can't walk, you can't hardly get up out of bed, you can barely even get to the bathroom to go pee. You condense your whole life into a really small area, and just to stay active, I picked up knitting. Then I figured out that I actually had a talent for it. And don't worry, I know that my knitting is offensive, but only to guys who are not secure in their masculinity. But yes, I love handmade hats. That's really one of my favorite things. Crazy part is I knit them and then I give them away. Now I'll tell you who I've given them away to. Nieces, nephews, my sister, my mom, my dad. Hell, just about everybody in my family has got one. And then I started giving them away to cancer patients. You know what happens to cancer patients is they lose their hair. It started off with an ex-girlfriend of mine who later died from the cancer that she had. But it expanded to whenever I get a new one ready to go, if I haven't made it for a specific person just because. You take care, Boris. Don't be surprised if I start asking Boris for his address one day. Now that I know how blistering cold it gets there in Finland, I can probably knit him a hat. And I think I'm getting pretty close to being done sanding. At least black sanding. No, that's not a racist thing. That's just the color that I'm sanding off at present. So let's take a look at what we got here. I need a little more here on the shank, I think. This is the shank, right? Or is it the strummel? Or whatever they call it. Okay, back around to the back side here. A little bit right in here I might want to touch up. But one thing's for certain before I go really any farther on sanding, which means I'm pretty much done sanding for the day. Yes, that's correct. I'm going to take a wet sponge. Oh, the sticky outy part. Yeah, I agree with you. The humdinger. But I'm going to take a wet sponge and real carefully take off any of the leftover dust and see how much more of that dye leaches out with just that. Oh yeah, well, if you saw where this pipe started, you would remember that it bubbled up on the very first smoke, and it got horrible, which is what inspired me to just go ahead and pull the trigger and do this. Yes, you will end up with sand, dust, all on your fingers. Again, if you want to, but it takes me a lot longer to knit a hat than you would actually believe, mostly because of time. I do not knit fast. You'll probably be done with a 4-pipe leather pipe holder faster than I will be done with a knit hat. All right. Wait, got another cat needing to go in. Come on. Hurry up. They go out the back door. They run around the house. They come in the front door. Somebody here in about 3 minutes is going to let them back out the back door. And then guess what? They're going to run back around the house. And they're going to want to come back in the front door. My cats are smart. They know that they go in a one in. They know I'm sitting out here about to smoke a pipe. So, not quitting sanding because I want to. It's because I got to the spot where I actually think I need to. Ugh. And no, if you're thinking that this hat is something that I did, no, this is something Steph did. This is a crocheted hat. Steph did this. She said she was working with the white and the gray, and she had a little bit of black left over. And once she got done, she was like, oh, yeah, that can't stay around here at a chief's house. You did this. You did all of this. That's what you did, Steph. I know you did it. Don't lie about it now. And I'm going to tell you, I love it. So then, after she crocheted the whole hat, then she put this on there. And this is all according to her. She didn't like the way that the Raiders design came out, so she clipped that out and just left the shield. But everybody who sees it knows what it is. And that's okay, Steph, because if you copied the Raiders design or logo, it's actually copyright infringement, and they're pretty stingy about it. Just saying. It's that whole NFL trying to make a buck on a buck thing. And yes, Steph, if you heard me earlier, you can tell Skip that I said it. If the Chiefs and the Cheeseheads are in the Super Bowl, I will watch that game. That'll be a good quarterback duel. Aaron the Lethal Rodgers against Patrick and his Mahomes. I got this feeling that game is going to be a high-flying exhibition of talent that is just completely can't miss TV. I'm betting he laughed. And quite honestly, if I had to bet against Aaron Rodgers, it would be on Mahomes. But if I had to bet against Mahomes, well, except for the fact that the Raiders beat him this year, it would mostly, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. Both of them have that talent for pulling it out at the last second and just pounding the crap out of you. Good decisions, good ball skills. You know. Shade, I said I'm interested. I just told you that it's going to take me longer than you think it will. I do not knit very fast. Has something to do with great big hands and small wrists. It's called carpal tunnel syndrome. When my hands start hurting, I gotta quit. Howdy, Todd. Glad to see you could make it in today. Now, as we know, this is tailgating. So, if you see somebody in here and you want to do a trade or you want to talk to them about their product or something like that, feel free. I don't own these airwaves. I'm just here providing a resource. And hopefully I'm somewhat entertaining. Hopefully. I can probably screw up the entertaining part, but This is not going to be the first time where my live stream was turned into a swap meet. There was a certain time a while back where Cliff Higgins, that is, doctor, dentist, the Cliffinator, he decided he wanted a Philip Rivara pipe that was going to be available on Briar Blue's website. And Mike from Briar Blues was in here, and Cliff was in here. So Cliff basically said, Mike, I want to buy that pipe. Shoot me the price, and I'm going to have to do it a certain way so that the wife doesn't find out. So feel free to come in here. It's a free trade zone. I'm just happy I can help. Now, I will say that today started off kind of a little bit chilly. For me. I'm willing to bet that it is no longer as chilly. But I made a big ass cup of coffee. Don't know anybody but me who would dare use this for a cup of coffee. Ah, that's so nice. Costumes. Oh, you can't offend me. And believe me, if when I get you a hat knitted up, if your offer still stands, we'll talk at that time. Though I am curious, what's your 2 favorite colors? Or 3 if you absolutely have to have a 3-color hat. Well, blue on black. I can figure that out. Light blue or darker blue? Or just any blue? Black is pretty much Charles Woodson and Tim Brown are really, really good choices. You have to remember that the greatest of all time was also a Raider. That's right. Jerry Rice was a Raider. Not for very long, but he was a Raider. Also, Randy Moss was a Raider. And then there was Cliff Joyner. There's, of course, one of the best tight ends of all time, of Dave Casper. But if I had to say my favorite Raider, my absolute favorite Raider, Greek flag blue. I'll find that. Favorite Raider would have to be Howie Long. I am definitely a defensive guy. Woodson would be my second favorite, but that's because most of Woodson's time actually went to the Packers. If I had to go with third favorite Raider, it would be Ray Guy. And oh wait, everybody's suddenly going, Ray Guy? Who the frog is Ray Guy? Ray Guy is considered the top person to ever play the position that Ray Guy played. Everybody else is considered lower than him. Sebastian Janikowski played the same position. Guy who plays for the Raiders now, last name of King, played for the same position. Oh, see, now if it's favorite Raider of right now, Abrams. Abrams is a safety and hits like a freaking truck. Khalil Mack's going to make it into that discussion. Getting set up, you don't have to be set up for a little bit. Yeah, see, if you don't know who Ray Guy is, you will never understand how crazy good of a punter that you would have to be to ever replace Ray Guy. Find the best punter ever. That guy's name is Ray Guy. Find the second best punter ever. And it's a big step down. And some of those people are playing right now or just retired, and they are phenomenal punters. So it's like Ray Guy way up there, and then there's second tier, and then there's a bunch of other trash down here. And the second tier is really only one or two, maybe three guys. But yeah, Ray Guy completely reinvented the game of punter right in front of live audiences. He hit the roof on the Astrodome. Shane Leckler, who played the same position, also for the Raiders. He was brought in when Dallas was setting up their new stadium so that they could figure out how high they needed to set the scoreboard, because nobody would kick it higher than Shane Leckler. Well, Shane Leckler never had it kicked up there as high as Ray Guy. It's just a straight up statement of fact. So when you get around to really thinking who was the greatest, man, that list is going to be pretty long. But if I had to say who was the best Raider, Ray Guy hits that. Because he's out there by himself the number one top dog, greatest of all time, as far as so far goes, punter. And the only punter in the Hall of Fame. Yes, you can look that up. Only punter at all in the Hall of Fame. Seems kind of crazy. It's just true. And don't make me go with a few good men, because I'm not sure I can handle the truth. Shh, I didn't say it that way. Yeah, I did. Sure I did. In case you're wondering what I'm looking down here for, I am trying to make sure that I set up so that I can see when Steph and Skip start their show. That way I can get us all over to their show. Because that's what tailgating's about. Hanging out, enjoying each other's company, shooting the breeze. Okay, so according to Step and Skip, as I was correct, they're not going on for another hour. Okay. All right, TX, you be careful out there wherever you're headed. Oh, goodness gracious. I don't know how warm or cold it is over there, but it's getting better here all the time. Up to 47. Howdy, Skip. You want some coffee? So, Skip, who was the greatest chief of all time? Oh, don't worry, I already know it was that guy that y'all had from the Raiders, running back. You know who he was. I would think Tony Gonzalez, right? I hated Tony Gonzalez when he was playing in the league. You knew he's like 6'9" and could reach up there and pluck balls out of the air. 10'5". Wasn't a safety or a linebacker that had a chance. All you had to do was throw it kind of high. As far as running back, yeah, Priest would be all right. I mean, he didn't have the overall stats that Marcus Allen did, but, you know. Oh, we're going back some. Art Still. Okay. I got you. I'll see your art still and raise you an art shell. Yeah. He did that. Of course, if I had to say the greatest Raider of all time, I would have to, of course, say Al Davis. Yeah, Christian Okoye was pretty damn good. But yeah, I think truth, money, and freedom. How is Europe handling for you? Doing quite well. Doing quite well. And actually, it's still morning here in Houston. We've had a very Texas-centric group today. Very, very, very few people that were outside of Texas were watching. Boris from Finland, and now Truth, Money, and Freedom. Greatest Raider was not Plunkett, though Plunkett will be the only quarterback to win 2 Super Bowls and not be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not sure where you cut out. Oh, we were talking greatest football players of all time for your favorite team, whatever team it happens to be. And if Truth, Money, and Freedom wants to chime in, I'm completely good with that. I would expect there to be some sort of a name that most of us wouldn't know, and I probably do. If you happen to say Messi, I'm pretty sure every one of us will know. Of course, if you're going to say greatest of all time and we're going to go football and meaning soccer, I'm going to have to throw Pele into the mix. But Beckham was pretty good too. I mean, after you get past Beckham, Pele, and Messi, the list starts falling off pretty quick. Don't worry, you don't have to be a sports guy to enjoy pipes, cigars, spending your free time with friends. All you really have to do is really kind of funny enough to say it this way, but enjoy truth, money, and freedom. Ah. Now, I do know that our friend over there in Europe, Truth, Money, and Freedom, is in Europe. I know he's good on truth, money, freedom, and firearms. But he left firearms off the name probably because there's a lot of Europe that's completely against firearms. Yeah. I'll agree with you there. I think it's not so much that they are scared of freedom, they are scared of the responsibilities that freedom entails. Well, we'll have to see about looking him up. If I have to go over to the UK and go hunting him down, I guess I will. I have found in my travels and in my life that most people on the planet, they're not afraid of freedom because they want freedom. They all want freedom. Freedom to do whatever they damn well want to. What they're afraid of is the responsibility. If you don't take responsibility for your own freedom, you'll never really have it. Maybe it's just the way I think about it. Somebody wants to convince me I'm wrong on that story, y'all go ahead, but it's what I've found to be true. The law requires that you choose to live responsibly inside of the law. But the responsibility is that you defend it with everything that you can. Oh, sorry, I'm smoking a cob. And tobacco. No, Sutliff rum and maple. The sacrifice that it takes to maintain freedom is sometimes greater a price than should be. But I believe it was said quite some time ago by an American that would have probably been shot as a traitor had the British government gotten a hold of him. But the tree of freedom must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots. I hate that that's true, but you know what? It really is true. Yeah. I like not having to have a license to carry a pocket knife. Oh, but wait, it's a multi-tool. Does that make a difference? No, it doesn't. Not to British law. And with the semi-transparent open borders, that's the scary thing. Every time somebody shows me open borders and then they start showing me that there's crazy amounts of violence taking place, I go back and I ask them, do the American Indians have a lesson to teach anybody? They poorly controlled their borders. And then by the time that they actually got around to actually attempting to control the borders, they were already in a losing situation. And it was an impossible situation for them to be put in. Had at the very beginning, the Indians stuck arrows in every last person that came across the pond, I got a feeling that the American Indians would still be the controlling party. I got a feeling Benjamin Franklin was a genius in his time. He spent years in France and in Britain. I don't know if any of y'all watch this person's programming, but Nicola White, Nicola space WHITE, and then I think the word mudlark. Absolutely, Skip, his autobiography is a good read. Of course, you got to be okay with the fact that he was a bit shady with his social life. I guess that's the best way to say it. Different times, different responsibilities, different things were allowed. But recently, Nicola White found a piece of pottery from in the River Thames that had quotations by Benjamin Franklin on them. I agree with Shade Tree there. The within reason part is the slippery slope, because who decides what the inside of reason is? We have many people right now who are demanding reasonable gun control, but who decides what's the reasonable? If I decide, there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of dead criminals. I'd be okay with that personally, but I got this feeling that there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings and a lot of dead criminals, and there's going to be a lot of people that ain't okay with that. Yes, Benjamin Franklin partied a crap ton. He made most frat boys look like lightweights. And he still took time out to think and discover and work. Oh, I go without saying. So I'm going to relate this. Here's the way I'm going to relate this so that everybody can understand where I'm coming from on my stance on guns. Texas passed concealed carry. Before they passed open carry, they passed concealed carry, meaning that suddenly every grandmother could be packing a 45 in her purse and could blast you dead on the spot. Done. Crime dropped 17% the first year. Crime continued to drop 3% per year, every year after that. Now, this is just in Houston, all right? Fourth largest city in the United States. But 3% annual drop every year after that. So the first year at 17% just took a dive off a cliff. 3% drop after that. Until Katrina showed up and wiped out New Orleans, and we imported 90,000 people that weren't used to the Houston culture. They came from a non-gun culture into a gun culture. Crime rose. 3 years later, crime had leveled off and started to fall again. In the same amount of time, the closest city in, if you can consider a city being close, even though it's halfway across the country, but size, mix of people, the closest thing that's to it is Chicago. Chicago's outlawed guns. Crime has gone up every year. Now, somebody please inform me how in the hell you can have a gun-loving, gun-toting community and crime falls off, and you can have a gun-hating, gun-free society and crime rises, and the worst crime levels in the one with no guns are legal are shootings. And the best level of crime in the city that has all these guns is not shooting. It's white collar corporate crime. So, no, I'm not saying that having the guns is going to eliminate crime. It's never going to eliminate crime. But taking away the guns from law-abiding, upstanding, sane members of the society doesn't do anything but create more opportunities for criminals. And now I'll say one other thing. Criminals are not stupid. They make a stupid choice. That's what turns them into a criminal. Or they make the expedient choice. And that is what turns them into a criminal. It's not that they're stupid. Now, some of them are, don't get me wrong. Some rich people are dumb as rocks. But criminals are not inherently stupid. They're not going to go out and make stupid choices just for the sake of making a stupid choice. So let's look at what the criminal sees. I can go over here and I can snatch that lady's purse, and she might grab hold of that gun that she's got tucked in her waistband and shoot me full of holes. I might not survive it. Let's see what criminals see when they're in Chicago. I'm going to run up and smack this woman in the head because there ain't nothing she can do about it. Well, every one of us has a mother. And I have to ask you, would you prefer your mother be in a situation where she could be raped or killed for her purse? Or would you prefer your mother be in a situation where the criminals are more afraid of her, whether she's carrying or not, because there's the possibility that she is? I'd prefer that the criminals be afraid and be very afraid. Just how I am. I mean, it is literally the choice of law-abiding or not law-abiding at that stage. And if you're law-abiding, you'd be surprised, but that particular one is a mockingbird. And I am not specifically familiar with the exact songbird that he's copying. And there is a looks to be a thrush that's up in the tree up here, but he was staying pretty quiet. Because mockingbirds are mean. I wish people the world over could understand it. Now, of course, there are certain government types that they fall apart immediately once guns become available to their citizens. Communism and socialism. It has to do with people who can fight back can really fight back. And when there's nothing left to lose, because there's no food, there's no jobs, there's no money, and you really got nothing left to fight for other than everything. So communism and socialism, as soon as guns are allowed, they don't work anymore. And no, I've actually never been stuck inside of a communist or socialist country. But my wife went to Russia before the coup and after the coup. And some of the stories that she has told me, oh my God. Let's just say, if you feel like going and partying in 1980 Russia, you go right ahead. Just remember, when you're standing in line for bread for 8 hours and they sell out of bread 10 people in front of you, and you can't go back to go get bread for a week because it's not your day. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff she tells me. And I've got no reason to not believe her. There's plenty of other people that'll tell you the same stories. Or you could watch news out of Venezuela as people are eating out of the backs of trash trucks. That's right. Same truck that comes and picks up your garbage, that's how they're getting their food. Yeah. But hey, until the 20th, America is still here. After the 20th, well, we'll have to see what happens. It's still kind of up in the air, depending upon what sources of news you follow or watch. Cob smoking tips. Okay, tip number 1 is remember that it's a cob. You can basically beat the hell out of them and abuse them all over the place. Tip number 2 is remember everything you put in a cob is going to be a little bit sweeter than you were used to. And really, it's just like every other pipe. And by saying every other pipe, I mean like seriously every other pipe. Well, cobs will actually take a lot more abuse than other pipes because it starts off as cheap. Um, but if you treat it just like every other pipe in your collection, eventually you'll get it broke in. That's the hard part, is getting a cob broken in. Once it gets broken in, then really cobs can be the workhorse of your whole fleet of pipes. Just ask Chad, aka Yardism. Trying to figure out if this cat who's come through here 5 times this morning wants to go in again. I like to remind people of this. Once you finally get a cob actually truly fully broken in, you can smoke it until it is filthy. Clean it up in 5 seconds and load it full of tobacco and smoke it again that same day. You need to do the alcohol cleansing hardly ever. Honestly, I'd never alcohol cleanse my cobs just because I'm afraid that the alcohol will start degrading where the hardwood and the cob actually come together. I just smoked the crap out of it. That's all I can tell you. Now, if you didn't get a cob with a hardwood bottom, you probably want to go back and do that. This one does have a hardwood bottom. You can see by the amount of blackening that this is not a new cob. Nowhere near new. This is... this one must be 3 or 4 years old now. But I have several, all of the same type. They all have a fancy nib on them when I first get them. And I take that out and I get the yellow one, and I put the yellow one almost immediately. The fancy black stylized bit, nib, whatever you want to call it, always starts screwing up for me, never fails. And then pop in the less attractive yellow clear bit and smoke it until it turns black. I mean, you clean it just like every other pipe with a pipe cleaner, and you just give it a quick rub back and forth. Now I rotate my cobs in and out, but almost all of my cobs look exactly the same because I've treated them all the same. I've done all the same. They were all bought from the same place. If you have to have a cob for inside your vehicle that never leaves your vehicle, you can stick that cob in your glove box or in an ashtray or in a cup holder. You don't have to worry about it rattling around in your pocket. If you just take the bit out with a little paper towel or something, just clean off the spots where it's dirty, and you can stick it all in your pocket that way. I mean, for low maintenance and high usability, I say it's probably the best pipe I've got. I've got pipes that smoke better. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong at that at all. Part of the reason that I'm working on sanding and staining the ugly pipe is that it smoked so damn good. I couldn't believe how well it smoked. Smokes 3 times as good as my corn cob. And I like my corn cob. You'll see me smoking it a lot. But I'm completely crazy about getting back into my pipe that I bought that didn't cost very much, but there it was. It had an ugly coat, and it needed some extra care. So now I'm working on that as a project. Stand wells are good. Stand wells are very good. Now, briar pipes are closer to being fully broken in when you first get them than cobs. It takes me about a month, 1 smoke a day, every day, for a month before I feel like a cob is truly broken in. Great thing about a cob is it'll actually handle smoking it every day, that 1 shot a day. Now after you get it broken in, it will burn off a little bit of the wood that is stabbed into it. Once that's happened, then it's broken in. After it's broken in, you can smoke it 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. You just got to let it cool off. Like if you can feel any heat in it at all, then you'll want it to be rested a little farther. But if I go on a long hunting trip, I'm going to take a cob. Just 1 cob. As far as a break-in tobacco, I do not have. I smoke anything and everything. And my feed gets smoked by the trash guys every Saturday. But luckily they power through here and get it done. Okay. 3 months. You cannot have tried a wide variety of tobacco. Problem is, you're also in the UK. it's a little difficult to say exactly what's available to you. The only thing I will say about when I'm trying to break in a cob, I like to use tobaccos that are very moist to begin with. A lot of people say that's crazy, but I like to very slowly burn through that chunk of hardwood that is needing to be burned out before you can actually call a cob broken in. And a very moist blend, which is going to cause tongue bite for most people. It's going to burn, it's going to smolder more than it's just going to light it on fire and burn it. Well, if you find a tobacco that you like, and because I know aromatic blends are no longer allowed in the UK. If you have Tupperware or a big Ziploc, make sure all of your supply is clean, really clean. You can take a shot glass of bourbon or whiskey or scotch or something you like to drink, and you can set that shot glass in a gallon size Ziploc or a Tupperware of some sort, and have all of the tobacco around that shot glass, and it will flavor. In about a month, you will have a flavored tobacco. Doesn't do anything that hurts the doesn't do anything that will hurt the tobacco, but you'll be able to produce your own aromatics for those times when you're just wanting something different. Like right now, I'm smoking Sutliff rum and maple. I didn't know how much I'd like it when I first got it, but I'm really surprised. The one that really confuses me is Esoterica. Not Esoterica, but Escudo. Escudo is made in Denmark and only for sale in the United States. Oh, you can get flavored tobaccos? Okay, I thought that was canceled. Damn cats. They won't leave me alone. 10 minutes from now, it'll be right back over here screaming at me to let him in again. Now, here's the funniest part about Escudo. It is a Virginia Perique. Virginia and Perique. Perique is only produced in Louisiana. So it has to be shipped to Denmark, produced, and then shipped back to the United States. You can actually get Virginias from just about anywhere that can actually grow that specific plant. Oh, okay, so they can have them, they just can't label them as flavored. Okay. Okay. So the new rules have made it so that the companies have to lie, cheat, and steal just to get it done legally. Some things just don't make sense. That's just oh, Chinese cake is very good. Ah, Steph is gearing up to sing for us. No, Steph, I'm not going to name songs. You keep them coming. I know what they are, though. Oh no! Less than 20 minutes until Steph and Skip start their show. I know it's kind of weird to have a tailgating show last 2 hours for a show that lasts 1 hour, but that's okay. Steph and Skip are much more entertaining than I am. Shade Tree, I'm going to say I don't know. Dad, the trash men are leaving out the other side. They are only got a single driver and a single guy on the back, so they're doing one side of the street and then the other today. On Wednesdays, they show up with a guy hanging on both sides. They move a little slower, but they move a little faster, so to speak. Okay, so click on your channel. Truth, Money, and Freedom, I swear they are going to be on right after my show. This is tailgating. I run the pre-show. Okay, so if you're doing this off of a computer, you can scroll down, you can see all the people you've subbed and who has subscribed to you. Not a problem. Believe me, you're going to meet a little bit of Texas today. And then right after Steph and Skip, there is a virtual pipe club. I don't remember their address. I've got it bookmarked. That's why I can always find it. And then later today, LCS, which is London Calling with Simon, who's actually on your side of the pond and I guess in your same country. Now, the time that he comes on here probably leaves it pretty close to midnight your time. Well, the word Texas originally was Tejas. It was an Indian name or word, and the word meant friend. So we are normally pretty friendly. Now you rile us and we come all unglued. That's a different story. But we do tend to make friends pretty easy. We'd be more than happy to have you around. Okay, if you're really wanting to know about all the pipe channels, the biggest single listing that I can give you, and I'm going to go ahead and type it in here so you can see it, is that's right, www.briarreport.com. I believe the word Tejas actually came from the Karankawa and then was basically bastardized into Spanish because Spain took over the running of it way back in the day. Well, Dell, I'm going to tell you right now, do not tell Martin that people call you Dell. And yeah, that is a big list of channels and places, and you can sub Briar Report here in YTPC. Not that he's ever going to make videos, but, and if you're on Twitter, you can also tweet at Briar Report. Once you get to know Phil, you're going to understand why we all love and respect Phil. Real good guy. — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — — Okay, well, nothing says that you have to do Twitter. But if you hang out with us long enough, we're going to get you introduced to a whole lot of people, including we could completely destroy your Friday nights from here on out. Because 3 o'clock Central Time, I jump on. And then we run a string of channels, which is myself, Chad, who is Yardism, Cane Rod Piper, and then Martinet over a pipe. And that runs from 3 o'clock in the afternoon Central Time to about 10 o'clock at night Central Time. But we'll plus 6 hours to your location, and that basically is 9 o'clock at night through well past midnight for you. And yeah, we'd love to have you show up for any of that. Also on Thursdays, another great channel to follow would be at Briar Blues. Of course, you'll see me on just in front of his show, but that's damn near midnight when his show starts for you. I'm not sure you want to be up that late, but you'll see that he makes a lot of shorter, real quick comment films, and it's always something that you want to possibly scope out and keep in touch with. And of course, he runs a online pipe shop, so some of the things he'll be able to help you out there with are going to be extremely good information for you. Roller Coaster of Crazy? I'm not sure Roller Coaster of Crazy actually fits the bill for last night's show. Oh, so you're already halfway there to knowing everybody. Now, of course, there is Steph and Skip. Yes, they are some of my Texas cohorts in crime. There is also Mel, Garbage Man Piper. Can't watch his show very often without hearing Sweet Chicken Baby. Well, if I know Steph, she's never out of things that she wants to talk about, though she is sometimes left out in the cold. And of course, let's see, TX Piper, Shade Tree Piper. Let's just say there's a whole lot of Texas that's coming into the YTPC these days. And getting to the stage now where we might have to just be the YTTPC. That would be the YouTube Texas pipe community. Well, Dell, I'm going to tell you, worst thing you can do is have a question and not ask. There might be some people that are going to groan, but you know what? At one point in time, we were all there. I guarantee I burned up 3 cobs before I knew how to actually work with them. Some of the things that I've forgotten that I know that I'd be glad to share with anybody. Well, that's really the best way to go about it. If you're wanting to stay in with the lifestyle, hobby, and community, the more you know, the closer you are to being really in this community. And we try to be inclusive, and by inclusive I mean like truly inclusive. There are going to be some old timers that are going to really appreciate that you're not just bombarding questions in there. But if you've got something that you really want to know the answers to, you can always ask me just about anything at any time. I do not have a high enough viewership that I have to worry about stopping everything to answer a few questions. And I'm not afraid to say I don't know. There's a lot of people out there, they don't want to say I don't know because it doesn't make them look as smart as they're trying to look. I'm not smart. I mean, I'm smart enough to do what I like to do, but if we're just going by me trying to look smart, nah, forget it. No point in it. I don't see any reason to try and fake somebody out. Maybe that's just me. Good shot across the bow there, Skip. Too bad it's a solid miss. Tell me how many rings your phone has. If you answer on 2 rings, you're desperate. I'm not desperate. I always wait for 3 rings. It's a good try, though. Good try. Good try. Good try. And no, you can't offend me, and that's the best part about me. You can't offend me. I don't get offended. If I get bent out of shape, it's because somebody's done something that they... Uh-oh. Guess who has officially started their show? That's right. You're now hearing the Steph and Skip. Oh, and Skip's in an ugly hat. Oh. And they're listening to... They're listening to Rob Zombie. Anyhow, ladies and gentlemen, thank y'all for showing up. I appreciate y'all showing up 2 times because the first time froze. And hopefully soon I will see you back here. As per always, y'all take care, mostly of yourselves, but of each other as you can. And remember,
all right, so
long lives,
Odie was first in the house,
big bowls,
and then we had Tony. And Tony,
and long
we were
ashes.
talking about you, like, literally
y'all
right
take care,
before your name
and I'll
popped
see
up
you
on
soon.
the screen. We were talking about how Rhode Island is...
Hey, Shade Tree. Odie, JMZ's in the house.